We have political reporter Paris Schutz, who's here now, just back from City Hall, and you've got a little bit of breaking news.
Well, it looks like that corporate head tax that folks are concerned about, it was dealt a major blow. The City Council Finance Committee held a vote on it today, and they rejected it by a vote of 25 to 10. So
wow.
That's kind of a blowout here. And so the Finance Committee is kind of like the harbinger of where council is on this. So if it can't pass the committee, it's not going to pass the full City Council, and the mayor has a lot of work to do. But they were clear in their message. We are not for this. We listen to the business community. We fear that that's going to drive them away, and so they voted it down. So it's back to work.
And driving more businesses down is one of the biggest issues that keeps coming back up. And when we were talking about property taxes earlier today with Maria Pappas, and she was talking, well, if you have all of these empty storefronts,
right,
you know, how the consumer or, you know, the home buyer then ends up picking up that burden.
Yeah, and that the alderman in opposition to the head tax tried to connect those two things. So what the Pappas study showed is that because there's vacancy in the loop, these property values are going down. And this is the loop is the piggy bank for all of the city. This is where all the revenue comes in that helps programs that support the West and the South Side. So what these alders are saying is if you pass a head tax, you're encouraging employers to locate elsewhere, not in Chicago, which will drive those values down even further in the loop, which will hurt the entire city. That's the point they tried to make.
So the corporate head tax, which even the governor was not on board for, gets a no. Okay,
right, that's a no.
But there are several more taxes that are still in the works.
So and here's the thing: they all today's vote was on. It was on the revenue package, so it was all the taxes and fees. They all got the no. So I don't know if the viewers here, the streamers, want me to list every single one. We counted more than 22.
We've got time.
Okay. All the proposed hikes here: wheel tax, personal property lease tax, regulated and limited business license, food business license, commercial boat passenger license, recycling facility operator fine, annual food establishment inspection fee, public health violation inspection fee, boat mooring tax. You know, all you boat owners out there. Rideshare congestion fee expansion, storage and towing fee, livery vehicle license tax, commercial driveway permit fee, canopy construction scaffolding permit fee, work vehicles obstructing the public way fee, vacant building / property registration fee, employee head tax, which we mentioned, social media amusement tax, DOB trade license fees, online sports wagering. Woo!
Yeah.
Those are all the taxes and fees that the mayor proposed to hike.
And you have a post that's
done
numbers now. What is the reaction you're getting on that post?
A lot of big eyes. People are just like, wow, that's a lot. And what these alders here today in opposition are saying is like, the voters are sending a message. They want us to cut. And what they bring up is that the mayor himself contracted an audit firm, Ernst & Young, EY, to come in and come up with ways to really make this budget more efficient.
And that was taxpayer money, too.
Yeah, it was taxpayer money. And they came up with about $1 billion potentially. Now, that wouldn't all be realized in 1 year. And these alders are saying, well, you've got this report that you paid for, and they're saying, hey, you could save a lot more money. Why aren't you doing it?
So those are those who are in opposition. Is anyone saying we support this?
Yes. I mean, the mayor had a press conference, and if you tune in at 4 and 5 and later tonight on the Chicago Report, we'll show that. He had a press conference with the alders who are in support of this with the mayor, and their point is the property taxes are going up, so would you rather we hike property taxes on the city level in addition to all the hikes that you're seeing, or do we do these other taxes? So all these other taxes I listed are kind of in lieu of doing property taxes, but these alders are saying it's a false choice. They're like, well, we could just cut. We could cut and then worry about maybe some of the revenue that we have to fill there. What the mayor is saying, but if we cut, then it's going to hurt the public safety progress we've made.
Well, I was going to ask, what would the cuts be to? And for those who are opposed to it, who say cut, what are some of maybe the main places where they would make cuts?
Police, and that's where the mayor said, you know, because that's the big part of the budget. That's the big chunk of the budget. And he says, do you really want to threaten the gains we've made on public safety? Do you want to cut police? Do you want to cut violence intervention workers? Do you want to cut programs that help people avoid violence, like substance abuse counseling and mental health programs? And that's the choice he is presenting. Is like, we either raise these pieces of revenue on businesses, or we cut these crucial things. So, but aldermen like Anthony Beale and the ones that voted this down said, don't scare us like that.
Yeah.
We can find other ways to make government more efficient and not have to lay off police.
Are there some council members who are opposed, who aren't typically opposed to the mayor?
Yes, and you know, these big legislative bodies are a study in groupthink, you know, the mob mentality. So once they see votes going a certain way, some of the other ones jump, okay, well, I'm jumping off the Titanic and I'm gonna vote. So yes, there were some people allied with the mayor that voted this down that said, well, wait a second, like, you know, if we tax, I mean, a lot of these taxes I listed, they're not just for rich people.
Yeah.
You know, one of these, the personal property lease tax, that's on any small business that leases property.
Which is a lot of small businesses.
Which is a lot of small business, or software, computer software, which every small business does. They would have to pay more tax on that. That's hitting working people, not just the billionaires.
And definitely could put them out of business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the argument.
So what is the process from here?
Well, the mayor he said, let's take a pause. Let's take a 2-week pause. Let's come back to this in December. So initially, he really wanted to jam this vote this week. But then what happened today was all of a sudden we started to see that he doesn't have anywhere near the votes. So now they want to delay. And the delay buys them time to lobby people.
I was about to say, do you think he knew going into today? Because it did seem like at least the allegations were made that there were a lot of conversations happening, which is typical,
always
happening ahead of today. So do you think he knew going into today, I don't have the votes there?
Yeah. I think that they had thought they would have the votes, and they worked over the weekend and they revised the head tax. First, it was 100. If you have 100 employees, then it went to 200, and then like at the last minute today, went back down to 100. And it was fascinating at City Council. You saw the mayor's team take alders into this back room and start talking to them and trying to influence them. And at the end of the day, as the meeting went on, it was going to be clear to everybody that the mayor did not have the votes. So I think he thought going into today he would. And the longer that this dragged on, then that would be more time for people to change their mind.
Yeah.
But what happened was they didn't need that time. They already don't support this in large numbers. So that's 25 alders on this finance committee. That's half of the aldermen on City Council voting no. So the mayor has a lot of work to do. And he is not giving up on that head tax, but these aldermen are pretty dug in, saying, no, we're not going to support this.
Yeah. Okay, so could he, all right, let's say if the head tax is the issue, all right, throw the head tax away, but the rest of that gets through?
Well, I mean, and I asked these alders who were opposed to this, I said, well, if you see more cuts and efficiencies in the budget, would you support some of these taxes? And they didn't really answer that. Because I think everybody knows when you have a $1.15 billion deficit, there's no one way you can solve that. So everything has to be a part of it. So I would think that some of these taxes that we listed are going to get in there. It's either that or property taxes. And given the fact that everybody's getting their bill and opening it up and being like, oh my God, especially if you're on the south and west side, there won't be any appetite to raise property taxes in the city either.
They keep going back to TIF funds.
Right.
As a big part of it as well.
And this happens every year with these deficits, is that the mayor decides, well, we'll declare a surplus in the TIF accounts. And that's kind of like a bailout. It's like a get out of jail free. They're declaring like $500 million. And what that means is that, it's the money in these tax increment financing accounts. I don't know if you want me to go into that whole, what that is, but.
Well, I think people need to know.
Sure,
because I think people don't understand it.
We hear the word TIF and we don't. Yeah. So, I mean, the TIF is a tool. It's an economic development tool. And basically, it freezes the level of property taxes that go to, all the bodies that need the property. And every incremental increase, as your value goes up, neighborhoods gentrify or whatever, there's an increase in that value. That increase goes into this separate account called the TIF account. And the mayor historically has used that account at their discretion to bail out the budget, like we said, to give to schools. Initially, TIF was supposed to be for developers. I mean, the idea of it is you're freezing that increment it's not going to go to schools. It's not going to go here, there, or the other place. But what it will do is you give some subsidies to developers so that it's like a down payment. So they're adding to the property tax rolls. That's like the initial idea of it. And there's a lot of confusion over, like, people have long argued, well, you're depriving schools of money when you do TIF. I don't think that's accurate, because I think the schools and the governments, they all have a pot of money that they get. And it's the levy, the property tax levy. That is set at a certain amount. And so when there's a TIF, it just means that taxpayers have to make up for that money.
Yeah.
But the schools and all those taxing bodies are going to get their money.
But it ends up being the catch-22 of all of these neighborhoods, again, south and west sides, where you're seeing the TIF dollars, but okay, well, those developers are trying to go in and revitalize the neighborhood. Yeah,
and development is sorely needed. We know that. We know that we have prices that are inflated in homes. We know that we don't have construction happening and home building at the rate that we need to. And you know, the Tribune did an editorial and basically said, well, developers, you know, investors are scared of the climate here, and so they're not loaning money out to developers to do these projects in the ways that they're doing in other cities, because they're scared of the climate. And that's part of this vote today from alders. These alders are hearing that. They're like, you know what? We hear businesses, we hear developers. We need to grow. The city needs to grow its tax base, and if it doesn't, you'll never solve these budgets.
Are they bringing up some ways that they feel we could grow our tax base?
Yeah, I mean, basically they're saying making this a friendly climate for business. So if you have certainty here where businesses know they're not going to get taxed every which way, they argue that more investment will happen, more businesses will open here, more developers will build condos and apartments and the hotels, and that expands the tax base. That gives more money to the tax rolls. And so this is, you know, the kind of the centrist position here is like, growth is the surest way to solve all these financial problems the city has. And if you put all these onerous taxes on business, then it stagnates the growth.
There is a new commercial that's been airing that talks about the different taxes and says, what's next, air? You know, I do think people get very concerned when they hear all of those different taxes.
Sure.
They wonder, okay, where is all this money going? My money, where is all my money going? And why do they keep adding new taxes if they're not seeing it? I mean, we have a business, we're looking right down toward Millennium Park here, and there's a business that just went out of business, you know, like
you see a lot of vacancy,
today,
and we're in the loop. So that's what they're saying is like the vacancy has gone up in the loop, which means the property values have gone down, which means that you know, government is collecting less taxes from but it has to be made up. You know, it's a zero-sum game. You know, there is one levy and that money has to come in. And so if it's not going to come in from the buildings downtown, it's going to come homeowners, south and west side.
Anything else that came out of the meeting today?
You know, it was just so chaotic and fast moving that I'm still trying to process all of it. But you know, the mayor's also proposed billions of dollars in borrowing to help pay for some of this stuff over the next few years.
Which isn't new.
Which is not new. So there's that debate in addition to the budget. And, you know, all of this, again, as the treasurer, who I know you had on, and we're going to have on again tonight on the Chicago Report, although you made news today where she's saying she's going to run for mayor.
She says she's in and she's not getting out.
Well, that'll be her platform then. Because she did this study basically showing, you know, how the property tax burden now is really shifting onto the homeowner. And that's a big problem.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big
I mean,
deal.
the homeowners, like I said, if you look at downtown in the Loop as kind of the piggy bank, you know, where like this is where all the money is generated. These, you know, the Sears to the Willis Tower is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and so that's a lot of tax money, as opposed to a bungalow on the south side. So if you, but that bungalow owner, you know, if you hike their property taxes double, like that's tough on them.
Well, you know, we were speaking with the founder of an organization in North Lawndale on Friday, and he said some of the folks that he deals with in North Lawndale saw 100% increases.
Yeah, and again, that's from the assessor's office. They assess all the values and they set the rates, and there's some anger now at the assessor's office. But again, part of that is the loss of business.
Right.
The loss of business investment.
It's all
That goes down, then homeowner payments go up to make up for it. And so there's a growing consensus that there needs to be policies that encourage investment, entrepreneurship, someone that vacant store, someone to put something in there, a restaurant or something.
Yeah, and there's, I guess the other aspect of it is, okay, is there a sense of trying to do things with haste by one group versus, hey, this haste is going to cost us in the long run, but maybe those who are in support of the quick way say, no, we have to do something right now.
Haste makes waste, I guess. But yeah, no, the mayor wanted this done hastily. And he said, well, we've been looking at this since April. I mean, it's not as if this is new, and he's right. And he's saying, well, give me your ideas. You can't just be no. Then give me your ideas.
And that's fair.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to come up with, you know, like Alderman Wagaspak said, well, there's $30 to $60 million in savings from this. I don't remember exactly what it was. When you're talking about a $1.15 billion, that's pennies.
Right.
They got to come up with more than that.
Right.
They got to come up with something that's going to, you know, and everybody's afraid to raise property taxes. So, like I don't mean to fearmonger reading all those taxes. Objectively, they're going to have to raise some revenue somewhere.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it goes back into, again, what Maria Pappas said in terms of the fact that, I mean, you list them off there on X and, you know, get how
and I
many
got a lot
eyeballs,
of 150,000 or something
you know,
like that.
versus are people actually opening their bill and reading through every aspect of it?
Well, Treasurer Pappas is really, I commend that office for really trying to educate property tax payers on what the money goes toward. And so if you open your bill, you see all the line items, and you know, certain amount is going to CPS and a certain amount is going to community colleges, to the library, to the city, and you know, kind of trying to, I know she has a team there that just like analyzes this data so they can put that data out. And you know, and then it's on the homeowners and the voters to look at this and say, okay, like what is our government doing, and you know, what do we want our elected officials to be prioritizing?
How is it working for me?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I do think some of these alders that voted no, they're listening to that. I mean, they're listening to the folks that say, like, I just got whacked with this property tax hike. The last thing I want to do is see like all these other taxes go up.
Yeah. All right. And what is their timeline? When do they have to have it done?
They just have to have it, you know, in place by January 1, by the new year. So they can.
A lot of holidays in between.
They just wanted to get this done before Thanksgiving, I think.
Okay. All right.
But it's not going to happen.
And a lot of people
back to the drawing board.
Yeah, that aren't thankful for that want of giving. Yeah.
Right.
But we'll see how it goes from here. We know you'll be on top of it, and we'll see you tonight.
There'll be
for the
some
Chicago
interesting
Report.
Thanksgiving discussions.
I'm sure. Yeah. You don't want those over the dinner table.
No. Let's watch some winning Bears football.
Let's do that.